Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marketing Monday Wins and Fails, where we go over all of the wins and the fails in the last week in marketing and business. And I'm going to start out here with a win for that drink we all, except for me, love. Coffee. This is a win for coffee lovers who are willing to fight, because we have a certified coffee war here in America. A coffee war has been metaphorically and literally brewing. Let me take you to a town called Odessa, Texas. Now, Odessa, Texas had 17 coffee shops in the whole city. Now, you can pull up almost any couple square miles of Odessa and find 18 or more. There is 60 total in the town. This is the mayor of Odessa drinking Starbucks by himself. And the reason is, towns like Odessa are not the exception. Basically, they are the rule. In towns and cities across America, the number of coffee shops is doubling or tripling and rapidly spiking. The coffee wars, in a sense, are heating up. And this doesn't just mean more shops and more drinks, but more competition in the variety of drinks offered. This started as a pure cash play. Again, in the post-COVID era, people wanted three things conveniently that a lot of restaurateurs are jumping on. They are car washes, easy money, chicken shops, easy money, and coffee shops. The 3 C's. And basically every piece of real estate that can be turned into a drive-through is being bought up at absurd prices to turn into one of these 3 things. But the winner by far has been coffee shops, which has great margins and easy to make money, especially as Starbucks, the old king, is beginning to fall. For the longest time, this era of the economy was dominated by one company, Starbucks. But Starbucks has made so many repeated errors lately that it's raised an opening for other coffee shops to spring up and try and take some of the absolute gargantuan cash they've been printing. So you'll see 7 Brew out of the Midwest. You'll see Scooters. You'll see Dutch Bros. You'll see Dunkin'. These are probably the 4 next biggest. There's the Human Bean. There's Ziggy's. All of them have opened hundreds of shops recently to try and capitalize on Starbucks' missteps. But first, let me say this. So Starbucks has 16,000 locations. And I want to be clear that even though all of these are popping up, Starbucks is still bigger by store count than the next 10 largest coffee and tea shops combined. They have way more shops. In fact, I think by this time next year, they're predicted to launch 400 more stores, but they have shown weakness. All of this competition is, again, brewing up some big changes because they're not really competing on price. What they're trying to compete on is the contents. They don't make this, though. The era of coffee shops making actual cups of black coffee is non-existent. There's no money in them. What they make now is this. This, my friends, is where the money is. The more sugary, high-calorie, dense, exciting, limited time the drink is, the more money there is and the more differentiated their product can be. The way they hope to differentiate themselves from one another is through a variety of drinks and beverages, all mostly iced, that hardly look like coffee. Okay. The way this article describes it is, again, warlike. It's like an arms race. All of these growing establishments are, quote, desperate to outdo one another with ever more sweetened, imaginatively flavored concoctions that only pair a passing acquaintance with what might consider coffee. Syrupy, foamy, cookie-flavored lattes. That's what we're going for. So you'll see things like energy drinks. I mean, Starbucks just launched a Melon Burst Ice energy drink. You'll see this from Scooter's Coffee. This is their big success. They made an iced maple bourbon latte to compete with like the pumpkin spice latte. And everything nowadays is like a limited time special edition drink that can play well on social media and get some sort of figurative and literal buzz. And in a drive-thru. That's the key thing. This is what's playing out. We don't know exactly where it'll lead, but if you notice more and more coffee shops popping up around you, this will be the explanation. There's a lot of money in it. As for why Americans are getting ever more addicted to coffee and why they're going to coffee shops more often, I have a possible explanation. Money. And not because they make more money, because it turns out that love is more expensive. This is a fail for Gen Z daters. Apparently, a study comes out that dating for Gen Z is so expensive, they're just not doing it. A lot of times I'm spending money just to get to know somebody out from behind a screen. When you do the math on it, an average 12 dates into a relationship can cost up to $650. But the cheapest part of getting to know somebody is coffee and drinks for the first date. $15. So perhaps the reason we're all going to coffee more often is everyone is trying to date in the cheapest way possible. If that is the case, if dating is getting too expensive and pricing everybody out and everybody can either go coffee first dates or no date at all, it would explain another trend that is hitting Gen Z and millennials. But first, let me take you back to the 80s. Here's a clip from the 80s.
Yes.
Hi, do you have a table for dinner?
Talk to me, son. How many in your party?
I'm alone.
Alone? Follow me, sir. This way, sir.
Yeah, it continues, but you get the general idea. In 1984, the joke of this movie is that it would be so unthinkable to go out to a dinner alone. To ask for a table for one, brave patriots in 2024 have no problem doing just that. Again, another study came out that shows that people are dining alone more than ever before. As more diners eat alone, restaurants are adjusting their strategy. And 68% of those are Gen Z and millennials who do this more often than anyone. This is part of a larger trend in culture. In this era, it would be unthinkable. But nowadays, perhaps some of you watching this video right now love to eat alone with your laptop or your phone and just watch YouTube. Solo dining is the mirror of larger social behaviors. 30% of Americans now live alone. People marry later. And again, only 37% of Americans who are 25 to 49 are married with kids. This used to be 67% in 1970. That's a massive fall. Times have changed. It may not be such a bad thing. Solo dining used to be looked down upon, but now people are saying you can disconnect from the world for 40 minutes and enjoy your food. And you know what? That's not so crazy. I do it myself. The way to frame this could be, oh my God, Gen Z millennials so lonely. Maybe it's not. Maybe that could be a problem separately, but eating alone occasionally now and then is actually kind of a fun mental reset. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's pretty cool. And restaurants are responding. Restaurants normally would have this bar section for people that wanted to come in and dine alone. However, dining at the bar is not really dining alone. And as more and more customers come in and ask to be seated alone, they don't want to sit here and talk to the bartender. They want to talk to themselves. They just want to watch things on their phone or be alone. So restaurants are responding, and they are making more and more solo tables for one or two that are in like a cubby or a corner where you can literally come in and be by yourself tucked away. The market is responding because more people want this. Additionally, they are training their waiters differently. So previously, restaurants would say if you were dining alone, the waiter should spend more time giving you special attention. But it turns out people eating alone want to be left alone. So now they're training them to be like completely isolating to them. Speaking of generations, something really shook me to my core recently. And it wasn't just the fact that Mark Zuckerberg sold out an arena to talk to a podcast host. Also, the fact that Mark Zuckerberg might be the world's richest man in a few days because Meta keeps rising and Elon and Jeff Bezos are flat. That shook me, but that's not the main thing. The main thing that shook me is that the oldest millennial parents now have kids going to college. Oh my God, I have a foot in the grave. That's an aware moment. These millennials are apparently struggling to let go. They are struggling to give their children the autonomy they might need or want or desire as they head off to college. They are being helicopter parents on steroids. And thankfully, I have a major win for that. Because if your parents are going to spend that much time monitoring your behavior on apps like Life 360, well, then at least we can make money off them, folks. Because Life 360 is getting so much traffic, they are opening an ads business. They are now putting ads in and on the app for parents that are constantly staring at it to track their kids, including the ability to call your son or daughter an Uber when they arrive at a location. You can see where they are, track them, and then call an Uber for them. How about that? A huge win. A little bit devious, if brilliant, from Life 360. Speaking of devious and brilliant, I had to give an honest win to a new company called Cosm. Cosm? I don't know how to pronounce it. But what I do know is they've invented something that's actually really fucking cool. Check this out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a bar. This is a bar with gigantic, high refresh rate flat screens that are linked to cameras directly on the field. So you have a front row IMAX style seat to sports games that you can sit comfortably at and get food delivered to you. And people that have tried it already have reported it being better than the live experience, at least for the type of seats you can get at the same price. Obviously, I expect all of you to rent this out for Marketing Monday. This would be the best way to watch this stream. Until now, they've been mostly known for doing live shows around astronomy and under the sea and more like boring science stuff. But since their recent pivot into sports, they've been having phenomenal growth and success. Again, I might go check one out myself for the upcoming first game of the NBA. Can I invest? I checked. You can't. It's a private company. I was with you. But anyway, it's pretty cool. You know what else is pretty cool? This guy. Do you know why? Well, it's not because of his nationality. He's Irish. Gross. He worked at Irish Twitter. And when I Googled Irish Twitter, what I got was a lot of tweets where Irish people apparently give each other nicknames that last forever. Played football with a lad who was called Moses by all of his friends because he wore sandals once when he was 9. Another was called Barney for years after he wore a purple jumper. A family down the road have been known as the Yanks for 40 years because they went to Florida once for a week in the 80s. When Elon Musk took over Twitter, he came in, he fired a lot of people, and then he sent out this email. Going forward, we're going to build Twitter 2.0, and it's going to be extremely hardcore. This will mean working long hours at high intensity. Only exceptional performance will even be a passing grade. If you're sure you want to be a part of it, click yes. If not, we'll consider it your resignation and give you 3 months of severance. This guy said, that's not how it works. I'm not resigning and I don't agree. And then he went to the Irish Board of Labor and they agreed with him. And he got paid $600,000 unfairly terminated. The main takeaway that I'd like to give you, during the lawsuit, the lawyers for Twitter argued that because they found a message in his Slack where he said, I've made the decision not to press the yes button and wanted to drop a goodbye here, that he actually was resigning. It was a choice. So it turns out, if you don't know this, even your private messages on Slack are all available to your bosses. They have access to every single message you have, and you need to be aware of that. Just be careful. Luckily, it worked out for this guy. Another company where it's maybe not working out, perhaps earning the most fails in Marketing Monday history, Gamestop! Now, you know we love GameStop here. I've never made fun of them in the past. They just released their earnings, and there was some interesting things to dig into. Now, we all know and love the great CEO of GameStop, Ryan Cohen. Ryan Cohen, during the earnings, revealed some interesting news. Number one, the company was finally profitable. Where the profits came from? Well, it turns out they have $4 billion in cash made from selling stock that they put into treasury bills to earn interest. And they earned a little bit of interest on that and they called it profit. The actual games business continues to crater. It's down almost 30% in revenue from the actual stores. At the same time, as this terrible news was announced, they also said, by the way, here's a bonus. We're printing 20 million more shares and dumping them on the public, which dilutes every current shareholder. They've done this many times, but they're doing it again. And this time, finally, for at least some of the people that are so deep in the GameStop sauce, this finally may have been the last straw. The reaction was terrible on even the most GameStop aligned subreddits. I've done enough for this company and they've done jack shit for me. That'll be enough of that. And he broke his GameStop Pro thing. This guy fired up.
What do you know? GME is doing another share offering. More delusion because the stock price is starting to run again. It's constant with AMC and GME. More share offerings, more fucking retail over because
you can hear that he's on the verge of tears. He has been lied to and robbed by the fucking leadership of GME and AMC for years now. And it sucks. And though I make fun of these fucking companies, I don't make fun of people like this because they're being sold a false fucking promise that they can get financial independence if they just believe.
Ken Griffin is cocksucker and he always gets his way. More delusion, more delusion. Let's keep fucking retail over. Retail's stupid enough to keep buying up the shares. Guess what? It's never got him fucking squeezed. Ken Griffin's gonna keep manipulating the damn stocks. The retail's gonna keep getting fucked in the ass with a 2x4.
A little blue in his language, but not too far off. Okay, this is what I've been talking about. Regular people are getting fucked by this. It is not going to the moon. It is not going to $1 million a share. And this guy I feel bad for because you look at him, he lost $63,000 on GameStop alone. No wonder he's pissed. People describe it on the GME subreddit as an abusive relationship when I could just leave and live a better life. But I can't because of that tiny chance he turns out to be the one. It's sunk cost. It's gambler's fallacy. And the market and the people that are normally lined up to buy into these terrible offerings did not show up this time. The stock tanked 12% in a day and is still dropping. I'm not saying Roaring Kitty can't come out of nowhere and pump this thing one more last gasp time, but we need to start being real here. This company is not making any money off the games business. It is dead. You guys know Nvidia. We've been talking about Nvidia for a while, and there's not much more to say. Nvidia is such an insane story in the stock market, but as of today, September 11th, they just had the fourth largest gain that a stock has ever had in a single day. And that is not really news, because what I want to say is the larger story of the fact that they have had the first, second, third, fourth, and 10th highest days of all time. They've also had the worst day of all time, the third worst day of all time, 8 of the worst days of all time. When I talk about these swings in Nvidia, I think there's a tendency for some of you to think, oh, it's the stock market. It goes up and down, it's normal. I want to tell you that it is unheard of to have a stock be this swingy. It is swinging hundreds of billions of dollars in a day, more than any other company ever. It has the record for most and least, and they're both like a few months apart. One thing that is true is that through all of this volatility, one man has been selling 120,000 shares a day, and that's the CEO, Jensen Huang. And I mean every day. Nvidia, by the way, which gained $216 billion of value today, that is more than the value of McDonald's, the entire company. Think of all of the thousands of McDonald's around the world. Nvidia is worth one McDonald's more today than it was yesterday. The market cannot figure out what this company is worth. Speaking of McDonald's, I'd like to give a win to McDonald's for they somehow found a way to team up with another scummy company and make everyone happy about it. Announcing the new Genshin Impact McDonald's team up cross-brand. If you go to McDonald's and buy in the app something like McDonald's apple pie or a deluxe combo meal, you can get exclusive items in the game. How awesome is that? They even used UR so you know they're legit. Your quest begins 9/17, traveler. They're just like us. Genshin Impact gets exposed to a broader McDonald's audience, and McDonald's gets Genshin Impact people to come in and buy infinite amounts of fucking food. The only reason I really included this is because I wanted to brag about America. And if you're Canadian, well, guess what? They'll tell you right on social media, you can get fucked. You'll never get the glorious apple pie item. I do have an actual Canadian story, and it's not about their real estate market or stock market. No, I don't care about those things. I want to talk about something different happening in Canada. This is a win to Canadian scammers who are getting more and more innovative. This is a taxi, or so you'd think. Turns out this is a item that you can buy on Amazon. If you just take your regular car, buy one of these, put it on top, people will get in. And then when you ask them to pay using debit card and you take their debit card, put it into a scanner that scans the information on the card, give them back a fake blank, and then record their PIN when they put it in, then you could just drive to an ATM when you're done and withdraw all of the money in their account. And they've been doing it all over Toronto to steal $1.7 million. Guess what? I mean, this started in Canada, but this could spread anywhere. Be careful. If you see one of these signs, don't get in. That shit fake, bro. This is happening so much in Toronto that the local government there made a plea to Amazon. Stop selling these taxi roof signs. They're only used for fraud. And Amazon said no. Nah, we won't. If you are part of the people in Canada or Gen Z or America or anywhere else in this presentation that I've talked about that are feeling a little disillusioned with this economy, perhaps you would like to take a look at this. A new report on what the happiest jobs are. Real estate agent, number 1, carpenter. Streamer's down at the bottom, hardest job there is. Real estate agent, though, may be a bit of a red herring. See, all of these job reviews came over the last few years where you could charge 3 to 6% of a house and do really basic stuff. Those times are changing. And I do want to mention that the last gasp of them is still here. An article came out that said Americans who locked in a job, a home, and stocks are thriving. Everyone else missed out on their ticket to wealth. And while some of us have a job and some of us have some stocks, getting a home is the hardest part. And I have found a solution for you. This miracle home that was crushed by a tree is on the market for only $500,000. How about that, folks? A steal, a cool $500,000, nothing. And you have a big tree right in your living room, nature. So go buy that dip. This is the perfect time to buy in this market. Get on the property wheel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this week's Marketing Monday. Tune in every week for more interesting and fun stories from the world of business called Wins and Fails.